Hey there fam, what's going on? Ready for another out of this world story from rSpace? I know I am. Let's see what we got. I accidentally went to work on my day off, only to catch my wife cheating when I got home. Hey everyone, this is my story. It was 2010, and I was training to be an EMT. I was 27 years old at the time, and my wife of 2 years was 3 years younger. She worked on base as a career planner for the Marines, and she specialized in helping Marines getting out get employment. She helps them set up resumes and offer classes for soft skills. Our schedules are the same, but different days off. I was promised by my job after I got a certain amount of training done, I would be able to switch days with other trainees if they agree. Forgetting the scheduled switch, I went to work on a day off. Me and my buddies laughed it off. It took 20 minutes to get home, but when I did, I noticed a Dodge Challenger parked in my spot. There was more than enough visitor parking, so what the heck? Came to my apartment door quietly to surprise my wife, and heard yelling coming from our open bedroom door. I paused, but then again, we watched adult things in the bedroom, so I didn't think much of it. I walked slowly to the bedroom, but as I got closer, the yells sounded familiar, but not video familiar. I came to the threshold of the door and froze, only to see my wife cheating with some diesel jarhead. I couldn't move. And 15 seconds later, my wife looked towards the door and gasped. The guy stopped, shocked, and pushed her away from him. I also noticed he wasn't wearing protection. My wife angrily asked what I was doing home. I stood on the threshold of the door and looked to the ground silent. The man put his pants on, grabbed his shirt, and made to the door. I thought to myself, I could fight this dickhead and get arrested, plus lose my job, or let it go. I stood at the door as he stopped, waiting for me to let him pass. I looked at him. He looked at me with a mildly concerned look, and I stepped aside. When he passed me, he stopped, took another look at me and said, "Hey man, thanks, but it is what it is," then left. My wife looked at me pissed and said, "You weren't supposed to be here. Today is my day off." I looked at her and said, "Every day is your day off from here on out." Let's grab a quick comment from the community before we move on with the update. Richie J86 says, "Irks me that she was so tied up in her routine of being unfaithful that she had the audacity to get mad at you for walking in on her." Yeah, that was a pretty straightforward comment. On to the update. I felt real cold, confused, and like such a craphead. I thought I was doing everything right. I went downstairs and seen this man in his car. He was on the phone. I couldn't believe he was still here. I got real angry and said F it. Went upstairs and grabbed one of my bowling balls to smash something. My wife jumped in front of the door and blocked me. She started yelling, "Don't! He's leaving!" I remember looking at her and feeling sick. How could you protect this man? I pushed past her and the car was gone. I slammed the ball in the street and finally broke down crying. Yes, fellas, I cried. Everything I had was gone, and the man who took it from me is gone. No answers, no revenge. I called my sister, and it's weird how women just know what's going on. Goes to show you how naive I was about things. My wife started crying and said, "We should talk before you talk to your family." I ignored her and left. After a couple of months living with my sister and her girlfriend, I got my own place and started doing nursing. And because I had EMT training, I was allowed to work nursing during my schooling. I met a lot of awesome women in the program, but the thought of a relationship made me weak. Also, during my divorce, my wife frickin' found my classes. She would try to run up talking about our business to make the female students jealous. It sucked and violated the restraining order. Fast forward 8 months, and our divorce was almost finalized. The crazy thing is, the man who was sleeping with my wife got my contact info and reached out to me. He was getting discharged from the service and wanted to be a cop. However, my wife was harassing him and it was getting serious. He asked to meet with me. I needed closure, so we met near the base. Sure enough, it was him. He showed up with another service member buddy of his. I didn't know how to feel, but he told me my wife was serving him for emotional distress. I seriously was about to laugh, because karma is a bitch, and he's getting his. I told him it has nothing to do with me, and I could give 2 flying flips. He said he would help with the divorce, so I wouldn't have to pay alimony. Told him not sure how that would work, and considering where we were with the divorce, don't think it would help, dumbass. "What the hell do you want from me anyways?" I asked. He said if I can get him a written letter signed to his command claiming she's harassing him, divorce, blah blah blah. I said, and you guessed it, nope. He got angry, and before he could utter a word, I told him to go to hell. You ruined my life and destroyed my family. I hope she buries you. This guy was unbelievable, asking me for help after what he did. I left and called my wife. She didn't answer, so I left her a voicemail. Told her that I don't know what she's up to, but your little man toy and I met. If she hands out my information again, I'm reporting violations on her restraining order and for handing out my information. I was dating a nurse from my program, and she would help. Kind of tacky, but what could I do? Fast forward to now, and I'm doing well. Have a 1-year-old son and his mother is amazing. We just tied the knot. Looked on my ex-wife's social media, and she appears to be doing fine. She's been traveling and modeling all around until COVID. Thought of reaching out to her, but some things are better left to rest. Richie J86 pops back in. Yeah, don't give her that satisfaction and reach out. You're living the good life now. Let it remain that way. Alright, on to the next story. It's simple. Is she cheating? Account of events. We've been dating for 4 years, talking about marriage, rescuing a puppy and moving in together. We didn't live together, but she was over most days out of the week, and I would spend time at her family home as well. In September, I traveled back to North Carolina for my grandmother's funeral. The first time since 2018, nearly 20 months since I had last seen my family and friends. Coronavirus made me reluctant to travel early in March, April, or May. Now that I look back, the first mention of her friend, coworker, was when she texted me a piece of art by him. If I had to guess, this was in or around July or August. I was originally scheduled to fly back to our home in Nevada on September 9th, but pushed back to the 17th for personal family-related matters. During this time, she was supportive and compassionate, and continued to express how much she had missed me and couldn't wait for me to be back home. She shared that she was lonely and was excited to see me for the first time since August 27th when I left Nevada for North Carolina. While in North Carolina, she started telling me about his personal relationship. She shared that he had a girlfriend of 10 years and that she wanted to move away, but he did not. They lived together and shared a dog. A few days later, between September 9th and 11th, she told me he broke up with his girlfriend. A few days later, she told me she was going to start carpooling to work with him because they lived close to one another. This was discovered by coincidence because they both drove the same route home and saw each other getting off the same exit. Ended up hanging out together twice afterwards. One time outside of her house and the other at a retail store. Up until this point, I was unsuspecting. Until one day, she ignored my call and called me back 4 hours later because she said she was on FaceTime with him. After that, my heart sank and I started to feel it in my gut that something was off. When I came back to Nevada, she picked me up and dropped me off and broke up with me 2 hours after landing. This was the same day that he posted on Facebook about breaking up with his girlfriend, September 17th. On September 19th, we had plans made back in August, but she called them off due to the breakup. I tried calling that day to talk, but my text messages were not going through. I drove by her home just 1 mile down the road, and her car was there, but no response from her. In the days and weeks to follow, she would randomly show up after her work and blame things on me related to the relationship. Some things out of my control. We had a happy relationship, but I had lost my job at the factory due to COVID-19 and was struggling to find solid work with benefits, so there was some stress. In our time together, we had small little debates, spirited ones, but always respectful and empathetic. We didn't have fights or outbursts towards one another. More and more, she would ignore my calls or texts, but would usually pop up at some point in the week to talk things over. Until one day I was completely blocked on all platforms. However, not before she followed him on every app imaginable. Fellow coworkers told me they saw them having lunch together. One time alone, another time with a group. One day I got suspect and logged into our shared DoorDash account to find my address removed and 2 random addresses. On MapQuest, it showed one address as a hotel and the other a random apartment building. My head is so messed up, I don't know if I was getting cheated on, manipulated, lied to, or if she just broke up with me to start with him. Any thoughts or advice or guidance and support would be lovely. My head is all messed up and I'm not sure what is real and what's not. Was she manipulating me? Leaving a trail of breadcrumbs? Was she cheating or just leaving me for him? Okay, that's the end of the story, but let's check in with a comment from the community. It comes from Junipearls. 30 female here. First of all, my heart absolutely breaks for you. I have no way of knowing for a fact if she was cheating, but I will say my woman's intuition is telling me that she had been having an emotional affair with him for quite some time. I think she started telling you more about him to test the waters and see how you would react. This way, in her mind, she would look less suspicious and feel less guilty for what she was doing. I'm only guessing here, but they may have been physical while you were out of town, and that's why she broke up with you, so she could be with him. This sounds like it was planned. Let me tell you one thing that is usually 99% true. Her relationship with him is not going to last. I would not be surprised if she is trying to get back together with you in a couple of months or sometime this year. I strongly advise no contact with her. As a woman, I would like to say that this girl is absolute trash. I know you dated for 4 years and she was the love of your life, and at one point you both did love each other. But she stepped out on you emotionally. Emotional cheating is dangerous territory because a bond and attachment is formed. Physical cheating, although it sounds horrific, can sometimes be transactional and there are no strings attached. Sometimes. I will try to wrap this up now and say that real women don't cheat. And if a woman feels like she has one foot out of the door, then it's her responsibility to end the relationship. Like I said earlier, she will probably try to come back into your life. Do not allow this. What you permit, you promote, and remember, people who hate your boundaries are the ones who benefit from you having none at all. I'm so glad you haven't moved in together, and that you're not married, and that you have no children. Heartbreak sucks, but you can get over this. You do not need trash in your life.